So in mainstream Christianity, there's not much talk about modern day nephalim, as everybody assumes that they died. There are no demons, there are no giants running around, because they all died during the flood. How could there be giants after the flood? Well, when the Nephilim died, we're told in scripture that their spirits, because they were part angelic, they had immortal spirits, unlike us who have mortal spirits, unless we are quickened and our spirits are made immortal. And that the Nephilim spirits, the offspring of the angels who were the giants, that they would be contained, they would roam the earth, they would experience hunger but not be able to eat, they would experience thirst but not be able to drink anything. They know how they were made. And so they could make offspring for themselves after the flood. It says in the book of Enoch how it was done, that the angels came unto women while they were with their husbands. So it was a type of possession. And through this possession, like when you see channelers, and they'll admit it to you, they'll explain it outright. When they're channeling, their consciousness moves back, and then the entity that they're channeling takes over. And when that happens, that entity stretches out their bodies. You'll see them. They'll look taller. Their skin will become tighter. Their mannerisms change, the way they move, the way they speak. And then when they're done channeling, you'll see that they shrivel up and their wrinkles come back, and they're very different. So there are biological effects that exist when one is taken possession of, when one embodies, becomes one with a spirit. And that happens while the women or the men are with their mate, their significant other. A child is produced, and that biological change goes into that child. And if they keep doing that, then yeah, they're going to come up with giants again. So this is how the Nephilim have offspring after the flood. This is why giants exist after the flood, because the Nephilim know how they were made. They know how to do it. And so, yeah, the angels that were the chiefs over the other angels and misdirected them, they took advantage of their authority, and they took, just like any soldier, they follow orders without question. And so a bunch of angels did that. Some would have repented, many would not have. And so those weren't locked up. Just the heads of those angelic forces were locked up. And time had to be given for those who had been misled by them, who were just following orders, which is accounted to them as righteousness. They were obedient. Just like in the Old Testament, we read the account where the Jewish people are brought to the temple, and the people that coexisted alongside them but did not follow their religion were invited as well. And the Jewish people were like, why does God want these people in here? They don't even worship. They're not supposed to be in here. And so God pointed out to them. He questioned the people that he had invited that didn't belong there. And he said, have you obeyed the traditions of your ancestors all this time? And they said yes. And so he said to the Jewish people, you have not obeyed the commandments of your ancestors. You have not followed the traditions. You have not followed Torah. And so therefore, these people are going to be rewarded where you are not. So our Creator puts a lot of merit in those that are obedient to tradition and ancestors. Of course, he would prefer that, they had changed and, had worshipped him. However, the point is that these fallen angels who were subject to the Watchers needed time to choose, to prove, like, okay, we were just following orders. Now, do we want to continue on this path or not? And so time has to be given. And people are so egocentric. They think that it's all about mankind. There is a whole family in the heavens that outnumber mankind, that are just important and precious and critical to a peaceful kingdom throughout all of creation. And so the lost ones of Israel, the princes of the air of the nations, these are all critical infrastructure that have to be resolved and brought to peace before mankind can take the role that they were intended to fulfill. So there's a whole lot going on that mainstream Christianity does not teach people. And so first, all the enemies have to be made as a footstool. All these immortal beings have got to be subdued and gotten out of the way. And then, man, we were the last of creation. We're going to be, we're on the bottom of the pyramid, the bottom of the totem pole, we're way down there. We were just the end result. And yes, when mankind corrupt themselves, the angels around them become corrupted. Because those angels are supposed to be helping us, in a way, serving us. And so there's a lot going on there. And there are nephalim that have bodies and have offspring running around on the earth today. And this is how it happens. The Bible did not lie. Their original bodies were killed, but they're immortal spirits roaming the earth, hungry and thirsty, and they're going to inhabit bodies so that they can get that sensation of eating, and then the fullness. They become one with the feeling of fullness until they leave the body, and then they're hungry again. And they would make offspring for themselves because that's what happens. And that's the goal. They would rather populate the earth than have mankind populate the earth. So hopefully that answers any questions anybody has about how is it that Nephilim could exist after the flood. How were there giants after the flood? That's how. Because the Nephilim, their spirits were still roaming the earth with appetites, and they're going to do whatever they can to relieve their own suffering. And they do that by possessing people, and they get the resultant offspring. Because who wants to be alone in a miserable state? Of course they're going to make themselves children. So hopefully that answers any questions anybody has.